But you're praying for a better day. But you're praying for a better day.
I tried to make it on my own. Well, you see, well, you see.
All right. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is David Patrick Carey with Church of the Eternal Logos, and tonight we have a very special stream for you guys. Major shout out goes to the sponsor of tonight's stream, Manuel Guzman. God bless you, brother. Give him a shout out. It's Lolo in the live chat right now. He goes by, it's more the colloquial phrase. He goes by Lolo. And tonight, Manuel Guzman Lolo asked me to dive into his book. So we have an original children's book right here from a gentleman in our community. And his YouTube channel is actually in the video description. So if you'd like to go follow him, he has streams actually showing you how he puts this stuff together. And this is a very beautiful book. As you can see, you can look at some of the, we're going to go through the whole thing. Beautiful aesthetics, beautiful message. And so he sponsored tonight's stream. Major shout out to him. Thank you so much, Lolo. And I'm going to really do a deep dive, a full deconstruction of In Search of Sacha. And so there are a handful of themes that we're going to dive into. First, just to even address, because we're going to go through the visuals of the book. I got a PDF version. We're going to watch a trailer that he's put together from his YouTube channel. And before we get on that, I want to dive into what I consider the 4 major themes of this book. And one, this is a great book, an empowering book for young boys. So before we even get into the contents, if some of you are out there have children, and if you have boys, I would highly recommend this book, actually. I didn't know what I was getting into. Lolo reached out to me online, said, hey, I'd love to sponsor a stream. I wrote a children's book. Do you mind doing a breakdown of it? Me being a poor man, trying to save some money so I can get married later this year. Yeah, I will absolutely do that. So I didn't know what to expect. Shot him my address. He sent me the book. And as soon as I opened it, I was like, wow, this is really high quality. The art, the book itself, and then reading it, really, really good. Again, this is a book that really emphasizes the role of parents, parenthood, masculine maturity. The story is about a boy, and really, obviously, it's a book, but it encapsulates his journey from boyhood to adulthood in a single story, in a single brevity, really in a single adventure. And then it talks about the faces of darkness. This is one of the things that I thought Lolo did a really good job on this book is there's many encounters with darkness. And I love that this whole book is really embodied in the struggle between light and darkness, which is a perfect analogy for us as Orthodox Christians and how we believe in the uncreated energies of God. So we have a little bit of a different paradigm compared to other Christians. And so light being the main emphasis, not good versus evil, but light versus darkness is perfect because darkness, again, has that negative ontology. It only exists in the absence of light. Light is the only real energy. Darkness is not an energy, right? It doesn't really exist other than the absence of the energy of light. And of course, Christ is the light. And so Lolo ends this book with Mark 5:36 right here, which says, again, don't be afraid, only believe. This is Jesus addressing the apostles. That's a quote from Jesus. And so that is perfect, again, for this book, highlighting masculine maturity, the various faces of darkness, if you want to call it evil, but I like light and darkness, and we're going to play off that more and more throughout this stream. And then, of course, the struggle of light versus darkness. So I'm going to talk about all these things. And even though this book never mentions explicitly Christ or the Trinity or God in the same way, it is actually jam-packed with what I would consider veiled Christianity. And that's why I think this is a great story if you have young boys. This is actually a really good book. And when you look at, I mean, you guys have seen what's going on in the world. The degeneracy out there. Have you seen all these, again, LGBTQ books going out there basically telling young boys how to perform gay sex, oral sex on other men? I'm not kidding, and I don't mean to be explicit, and we're not going to dive into that. But my point being is I love finishing this, and this is why I wanted to promote Lolo's work, and that, again, his link is in the video description. You can go over to his YouTube channel, give our brother a follow. And if you have young boys, buy his book. This is a great book. It has beautiful aesthetics, but it's a perfect way to use the story of Amar and Alicia's search for Sacha is a perfect way, once your young boy, your child understands that story, to then talk about Christ, to talk about love, to talk about light, and even talking about the role of masculinity and, again, your own sons, your boys' journey into adulthood. So let me break down, before we even do the announcements, my 4 main themes that I took away and that I want to unpack. So again, the first one is parenthood. This is a really important theme to this book that I think, again, is really useful both for the child who's reading the story and reading it along with his parents, but also something that parents themselves can really appreciate. So first one is protecting your child. Central to the search of Sacha is that Sacha is a young boy filled with light, filled with truth, filled with love, and he goes missing. And so he has these 2 parents, and they are in search of him. This is the premise of the book. And so Sacha then is out in the darkness of the forest, in the wilderness. You can already see the motifs, the symbolism there. And his parents, filled with light, are essentially, again, they're great beings themselves. And the devil monkeys, the Lord of the Beast, the Mistress of Death, all these entities can't withstand the light within the parents. And so along with Sacha being the main protagonist of the book, we have his parents, Amar and Alicia, and their constant search for him to protect him. So, and we see Amar, that he's not an emasculated man. The father himself is a dominant masculine man. And you can have an empowered even woman, the wife, Alicia. She's not a pushover. She's not like, she's also a symbol that a young girl could admire. And so the role of parenthood, we see protecting your child. We see that, again, embedded within the story is showing them the way and the light. The thing that preserves Sacha as he moves into the dimmed forest, as he moves into the darkness, as he wanders through the wilderness, as he encounters great beasts that could kill him and traumatize him, it's his light that allows him to see in the darkness. Now, that is a perfect analogy for the truths and the traditions and the values that we educate our children, right? Christ is the truth. Christ is the light. Christ is the way. Christ is the life. And so as you educate your children about Christ, about the truth, this is going to be their light as they journey into the darkness and the wilderness of the world, something that we all have to do. And sometimes when those, again, we can see it in friends we've had, we may see it in various family members we know, that they didn't have that same light in themselves. Not that we're all born with it, of course. I'm not saying that, but it wasn't cultivated by their parents. You see, Sacha doesn't have a divorced single mom that's working 2 jobs or an effeminate dad who's give up his career so his boss wife can take it. That's not it. It's a traditional dynamic between a man and a woman. And it's the strong parents that love each other and love their child that then, again, have filled their own son with light, which allows him to see in the darkness. This is an important value that I think, again, we can take away as we move through the story, but one that parents and children can certainly utilize. Next one is the love between parents is an icon for children. It's an icon for children. In this book, we even have an instance where Sacha may fall in love with a young girl named Faye. And it breaks his heart because what does Faye do? Oh, she, they're together, they're holding hands, they're on their own journey together. Sacha's in love, and then she breaks his heart. Not for any particular reason either, only because he loved her too much. In a way, he held on too tightly. And we'll unpack all this stuff here because it's part of the masculine maturity, which is my next main bullet point. But the love between parents is light. You see, love and light are really hard to differentiate. And therefore, when we read and go through this story today, remember that love and light, what is the relationship between those two things? And the idea is that really they're almost synonymous, and that light is a sort of visual presentation of love. And so the love between parents is then an icon for children and how they're going to approach love. Now, what do we look in the world? We see all these broken families. We see all this, all this tragedy amongst children, the degeneracy, the parents. I just saw a thing the other day of a mom who her son got suspended from school, not because he did anything wrong, but because he was fighting because his mom's OnlyFans was being spread around the school, and he was being bullied and being picked on, and of course he was getting in fights until they suspended the kid. But imagine that. Imagine your mom, single mom, again we see single mom, and she's out here making pornography on OnlyFans and making money, and your friends in school find out about it. How is that going to traumatize your relationship to women, your, again, understanding of love and relationships? That's why, again, even embedded in the search for Sacha, we see the love between parents is a way in which children come to understand love and light, and of course God. So this is something that's present in the story. And then parental light, as I said, and love allows the child to navigate darkness. So All of us, as we maturation and maturity is part of really the world, the darkness of the world taking form and shaping us accordingly. And so we then are led by the light that our parents give us, the values, the work ethic, the traditions, the cultures. These things are lights into the darkness of space and time as we move through culture. And that's why tradition is not, no matter what tradition is, there's always truth in a little bit of all traditions, because tradition is a collectivity of wisdom accumulated over space and time. Why? To give more light to people within those cultures. Obviously, they're not all equal. I'm not making that claim. But parental light and love allows the child to navigate darkness. Now, the next main theme of this book that I think, again, is really useful is masculine maturity, because as we see here, Sacha looks like a little boy, right? And actually the story begins, the protagonist Sacha, as a little boy. But by the end of the book, of the story here, we see that Sacha's already maturated into a young man. And what was that maturation process that allowed him to become a young man? Well, it was getting his heart broken. It was wandering in the darkness of the dim forests. It was encountering the Lord of the Beasts. It was encountering the mistress of death. It was fighting the serpent. It was looking at the various faces of darkness. And we'll get into the porcelain mask here at the end, but the various faces of darkness and how he, realizing who he is, his power, the light that his parents give him. Again, it manifests itself as like literal light and his hands light up, but it was his understanding that he had an innate power that his parents gave him. And that is then how he fought against this magnificent serpent, who again was one of the faces of darkness. And so this fighting evil, fighting darkness off, is a way in which men, all men, have cultivated themselves over time to become a light unto the world. And so it is this process, this journey of getting your heart broken, figuring out what is the relationship between love and light? What is the Well, that's my point. Sacha gets his heart broken. We see that when he's fighting the serpent, one of the things that comes back to him is his love for this young girl. But again, she's rejected him, but he realizes that he must fight against this darkness, against this evil, to protect her and his family and his parents and other souls of the dark forest. So he realizes that part of his identity as Sacha, or as a man, is in protection of other people. And that is part of this masculine maturation process, that leaving your parents and going on your own journey is essential for every young boy. And that's how the story begins. They're in search of Sacha. They're in search of their boy, who they then, once they encounter him, he's become a man. But it's the boy leaving the sort of cocoon of innocence, encountering the darkness of the world, making the correct decisions based on the light and love that was given to his parents, that then inform him and maturate him in the process. And so masculine maturity, the first point I have, is leaving your parents and going on your own journey is essential for masculine maturity. If you've stayed in the cocoon of innocence, if you've stayed in a place in which you've been comfortable, you've been unchallenged, you probably have yet to become a man. Because part of becoming a man is responsibility, it is challenges, it is rising to the occasion, no matter how that may appear. That manifests itself in different people's lives in different ways. But that is an essential role of what a masculine man is. He's responsible. He's protective. He's go-getting, right? In a way, he's independent, not in the sense that like individualism, but independent in the sense of that he has a self-assuredness. And so you only get that by stepping away from the cocoon of comfortability, which is usually your parents, right? And so that can manifest itself in many different ways, depending on who you are in your own life. But I'm sure that is an archetype for all men. Another one is falling in love and getting his heart broken by a girl. Now, in this story, we see Sacha loves this little girl, and there's nothing he does wrong to the little girl. And the girl ends up breaking his heart. Why? Because she says, well, he loved me too much. He held my hand, or he held me too tight. Metaphorically, he didn't really hold her too tight, but he cared too much, and his love was too true. And this is one of the things that his mother brings up. So how many times for us again, and this, I would say this has happened to all men at some point in their life. You really cared about a girl. You really were trying to do your absolute best for her. You did nothing wrong. And she decides that, I don't know, not really. And then breaks your heart. But that is an essential part of maturation. Very, 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 very few of us actually marry our high school sweetheart. We just don't live in those times anymore. And so, again, this is why this book, if you have young boys, this is a good book. This is a good book. Again, major shout out to Manuel Guzman, Lolo here in the chat. Give him a shout out. Shout out to Made by Jim Bob. What's going on, brother? And so another point regarding masculine maturity, experiencing the darkness of the world. This is another thing that, again, is essential for becoming a man. That, again, I think Lolo hits perfectly in this book is that Sacha, the only way Sacha develops and becomes an adult is through his encounters in the dark forest. It's through his encounters with one, I would call her an ice queen, the ice queen who breaks his heart. It's through his encounter with the Lord of the Beasts. It's through his encounter with the mistress of death. It's through his encounter of the various faces of darkness, and then his wrestling with the serpent at the end, which then matures him. And that is true for all of us. That is true for all of us, because how many men who may be adults or 30s or 40s or 50s, but they've never actually fought against the evils of the world. They've actually never fought against the darkness itself. Would you consider that a true masculine, important man? No. Because part of what masculinity is obviously protection and providing, but what are you protecting from? Right? If you're a man, what are you protecting other people from other than the darkness? So the role of a man is for the protection of and the facilitation of more light and love. And so you're trying to grow the light and the love within, again, the nexus of your family, the nexus of your community, the nexus of your nation. And that's where I'm actually going to be doing a open panel stream either tomorrow or Tuesday on patriotism, because I've been seeing some rhetoric amongst the Orthodox crowd that I don't know, I'm not too fond of myself, but that's what masculinity is. It's about protecting, but what are you protecting against other than darkness? So therefore masculinity is in a way defined by its rejection to darkness, which is evil, which is sin, which is all these transgressions. And so, like I said, masculine maturity, we've highlighted leaving parents and going on your own journey is essential. Falling in love, having your heart broken by a girl, experiencing darkness in the world, fighting against the different faces of evil. How do faces of evil present to us? Well, sometimes they're presented to us by maybe people we love. Maybe the faces of evil emerge by the relationships we have with other women. Maybe the faces of evil appear due to our haters and people that hate what we do or hate what we say. Maybe it is evil itself. Maybe it is actual demonic forces. All these different things are various faces of evil. And so, or again, what I'd like to say is various faces of darkness, because that is where I think, again, Manuel Lolo does a great job. It's really darkness, right? Darkness. And so it's these various faces of darkness that all of us are encountering all the time. And so the only way we recognize the darkness and the various faces we encounter is by being a man and promoting the light, the love, the truth, the way, the life, Jesus Christ. And that's what inspired Lolo in this book. And you can totally, as a Christian, see what's going on here. But for a child, this is, again, a perfect semiotic lens to really unpack Christianity. The next one is letting your light shine is how we defeat the enemy. Right? If the enemy is darkness and darkness doesn't have a positive ontological existence, the way we defeat the enemy is always through our light. And that's exactly what Lolo highlights in this book, whether it be Alicia and Amar shining their light and the devil monkeys fleeing, whether it be at the end Sacha's light, whether it be at the end Sacha then kisses this mask, again being a sort of porcelain personification of dark forces. So dark forces, evil always, it has the same face, but it comes in different forms, right? That's kind of what Lolo's trying to hit at in the book. And so by Sacha kissing the mask of evil, if you will, the mask of darkness at the end, it shatters and dissipates. What is that saying? That because it doesn't have a positive ontological existence, these things actually cannot exist in the presence of true love and light. And that's a beautiful, timeless message that is absolutely true and empowers a young boy by understanding that you don't have to be afraid of darkness and evil, because as long as you have the light within yourself, which is also love for other people, you're going to be able to defeat those things, because then by definition, you have to succumb to that darkness. Last point in regard to the masculine maturity is fighting to save, protect, unite with those you love. Sacha, he's fighting for, at the end there, he's fighting for the young girl that he still loves, and he's fighting for his parents, which he knows loves him and that he loves them. And then at the same point, we see the other sort of angle of this story is the search of the parents, right? They're in search of Sacha. So we're not just following Sacha, but we're also following Amar and Alicia. And they then encounter all these hurdles, but because of their love, right, to unite. And Jim Bob, when he did his debate with Owen Benjamin, the one in the many, I believe, is so, one of the easiest ways to conceptualize this is realize that it's love that unites the one in the many. There's only one love. It's an uncreated energy that comes from the Godhead, which is eternal and uncreated. But then the way that we're united with him, the way we unite with each other, it's through love. And that's, again, a main message of this, is that fighting to save, protect, and unite with those that you love. And so we always have to fight for those things. Now, the third aspect of this book that I wanted to highlight is the faces of darkness, And we're going to encounter these as we move through it. Number one is the devil monkeys. So the first face of darkness that we encounter are the devil monkeys. And so we can think of, again, monkeys, miniature humanoids type things, chaotic, and so animalistic, right? We see the Lord of the Beast in a way become a sort of centaur figure, but we see the devil monkeys as sort of, again, a sort of animalistic form of darkness. And that, again, that's something that we all have to watch out for ourselves, but we can also then see it in the world. When you look at Sam Smith and the Grammys, when you look at the world out there, how much of the darkness you see is people devolving into their animalistic tendencies. And so Lolo's the first face of darkness we see are devil monkeys. The next one is the self-absorbed female who has beautiful blue hair. I don't know if he did that. Again, I thought it was appropriate that the only person with brightly colored hair was the young girl, the beautiful young girl that broke Sacha's heart. She had blue hair. Don't know if that was a slight jab at some of the aesthetics of our day. I saw a great meme that it talked about how animals in the wild display bright colors to demonstrate to other people they're toxic. Interesting stuff. But anyways, the next, what I would argue is a face of darkness, is not that the young girl is evil per se, but she is very self-absorbed. She is very pretty. She has this long blue hair, and she's combing it with a golden brush. So we see sort of opulence, we see beauty, we see worldly aesthetics, if you will. And so within these worldly aesthetics, she then, the parents of Sacha, Alicia and Amar, who she was just with this boy, knowing that she was with this boy, knowing that they were in love, they come in contact with her and says, "Where's Sacha?" "Oh, I don't know who that is." And then her next phrase is, I'm not really concerned with your problems. And then it's, so again, isn't that applicable today? How many of these young women, again, that are empowered by feminism and all this stuff, these independent boss ladies, that they're not concerned with other people's problems, which again is the reverse, as we see with the masculinity, is that you actually are concerned with other people's problems in the fight against darkness, right? In the darkness inside of our communities, the darkness inside our homes, the darkness inside ourselves. We have to constantly be fighting those things. But we see the ice queen, as I call her. Why? Because when she sits there and she lies, like ice ripples out from her. There's a ripple effect. And so even the leaves and the trees and the branches are being frozen by her. She's an ice queen. It's the archetype of the ice queen, right? And so, and then she begins to break down and sob, and she confesses that, oh yeah, Sacha, he truly loved me, and he was a great guy, and but he held me too tight, meaning like metaphorically, he was too close to her. So again, how many of these feminist women, right? They don't want the good guy, and then they say we're all the good guys, and then they cheat on the guy that they're with that does everything. Perfect archetype. Perfect archetype. Now, the next face of darkness that we encounter in this book, I would argue, is the Lord of Beasts, who again inhabits a tree covered in mushrooms. Ironic there, I think, very poetic. But he's an ugly, horned, hairy beast centaur figure. And he is in charge of the beast. He's the Lord of the beast. So again, we can see a sort of movement towards understanding Satan, the devil, the evil one, right? And so he is the Lord of the beast. He is blind. Why is the beast blind? He's blind because when he encountered Sacha, his light, his love, his truth that radiated from the young boy, because he was just now encountering darkness, right? The light, the darkness of the world's trying to constantly limit us. It's trying to darken our light, right? Well, this boy blinds the Lord of the Beasts because his truth, his love, his light is so bright that this beast, which inhabits in the dark forest, beasts of darkness, can't deal with the light. What does Christ do? He heals the blind so we can see. He gives us eyes when there are no eyes. It's for those who can see, and those who can hear the message, the truth, the light, right? And so we see this metaphor played out in this book in regards to Sacha blinding the Lord of the Beast when he's encountered in the forest of darkness. And therefore, the beast actually must submit, and he bows down before Amar and Alicia because of their light, because he is darkness. He's the opposite of that. And he knows he can't actually battle light. And that's why he himself is blind. So that's another great motif and semiotic there. The next one is Alicia turning on Amar. Now, you would say, again, as we move through, well, Alicia's his mom. She's not a face of darkness. Agreed. However, at one point in the story, she drinks from a contaminated or a hexed stream or water source. And what does she do? She drinks from the water, and she then unsheathes her sword, her samurai sword, and then turns back to her husband, Amar, and starts yelling at him. Why? Because he healed the eyes of the beast. Well, why would he do that? Again, light, love, and truth. That's exactly what Christ does to people. Read the Gospels. And so we see Amar becoming a semiotic for, again, the reality of Christ there. And so Alicia then turns on Amar. I can't believe that you would give eyes to the beast that tried to harm our child. Well, one, you don't know exactly what the relationship was between the beast and between the beast and Sacha. However, when she turns on the husband, again, I would say this is a face of darkness. Why? Because she drank the hexed water, and then she turns on the man who loves her the most. So we see, and I would argue, a sort of motif on the Faye and Sacha thing that just happened, the young pretty girl with blue hair. But then we see it sort of reverse, and now Alicia is attacking Amar. He realizes it's hexed. He gets her under control, as most of the time we have to do with women that get a little out of hand, and then gives her purified water, clean water, a source of life-giving water. Is that familiar? Maybe the woman at the well. And now she's healed. Life begins to grow. Now she can see. And so I thought this was a perfect example of darkness in our own society by how many times do women drink from contaminated sources. I don't mean literally drink because they're thirsty. I'm talking about social media. I'm talking about the news. I'm talking about universities. I'm talking about magazines. How many times do young women take in these sources, right? These sources of, information, or again, water was supposed to be life-giving sources, and then turn on the ones that they care the most about. Perfect example there. Next one are the faces and souls under the dark water. We'll get to a point in which the mistress of death, which is perfect mistress, unmarried woman, perfect harlot, perfect Jezebel figure. She then has kidnapped Sacha. She's in a boat and she's rowing across a sort of an underground lake. And as Amar and Alicia then look at the lake, there's all these dead souls. It reminds you of like not Lord of the Rings, but Harry Potter. Remember Harry Potter where he had to like get that thing from that underground cave, and they had all those souls and bodies that are in the water. It kind of reminds you of that scene. And so the faces and souls that are under the dark water, right? They're under the dark water. They're not in the light. And so they're trying to then steal and take anybody that has light and drag them to their own depths, which is, again, exactly what the demons try to do. The demons are trying to drag you into the place in which they already inhabit because they want your light. They want your light. And that's true with you. Think about the pedophilia that's just going around rampant in our society right now. Why do all these Satanists, why are they all pedophiles? Because it's the innocence of the child. It's the light. It's the love. It's the honesty within the kids that they want to destroy. They want to take it away from them. They want to sexually abuse these children so that it takes away the light that's naturally innate in them, because what does Christ say? The children are closest to him. Next one is the mistress of death, another face of darkness. And so the unchanging porcelain mask is really reminiscent of the fact that evil is always here. Darkness is always here. It just emerges in our lives and with different ways, different figures, different entities are behind the same porcelain mask of darkness. And so the mask, as we'll see, also gives powers to those who put it on. So I think is a perfect metaphor. Those who choose to do work with evil will be temporarily empowered in the world. The serpent is in this book, but also look at, again, the selling your soul to the devil. What does that mean? Is that a real reality? And I would say yes, it is. And then that mistress of death leads into the serpent, as I would argue being the last face of darkness, which is, despite being ginormous in size compared to Sacha, he cannot fight. The serpent cannot fight the light in the boy, and he ends up self-sabotaging, biting his own self and killing his own self. Well, I guess he doesn't necessarily die, but Sacha destroys the porcelain mask he's wearing, and then he goes back to his normal size. So that then concludes, again, the parenthood, masculine maturity, and the faces of darkness. The fourth main point that I would like to highlight about this story is that through everything I just said, what's it trying to articulate is the battle between light and darkness. Light and darkness. And that it's a perfect orthodox analogy, as I began with, for God's energies in Christ. Because if the whole story is framed around light and darkness, and therefore darkness has no ontological existence. It's not like, Batman and the Riddler or something, where, okay, here's the Riddler's the evil one, Batman's the good one. They're fighting each other. It's really, really close, but then good wins out in the end, because it would leave a child to think that then evil has a sort of positive ontological existence, right? But the way I would argue using the light and darkness metaphor is more accurate to an orthodox understanding of that evil doesn't have a positive ontology. It's only in the absence of light. And so I would say the light and darkness theme of this book is perfect for an analogy for God's energies, which you could probably educate a child on as they matured and got older. Those beings in darkness can't stand the light, which is, again, true for the demons. It's true for Satan. It's true for the people in our lives. It's, the more you go down your own Christian journey, and the more you become sincere and devout in this, the more you're going to realize this is an absolute fact about reality, that those that are in the darkness, it could be some of the closest people to you in your life, they cannot stand the light. And if you're filling yourselves with more light, they can't stand. Now, also people who may not be on your same journey, but are striving for the light. When they see you acquire more light, they're like, oh, what's going on with you? I like that. Can I, talk to me about that? So some people are more curious about the light. Meanwhile, others that are in the darkness and are choosing that darkness. Some of us are in darkness due to unfortunate circumstances. Again, you could be your parents, your household, different things. Some of us have chosen our darkness. Many people, not many, but a perfect example, I would say, with the Eliza Blue phenomenon. This chick had basically a perfect childhood, Southern Illinois, farmland, wealthy, Christian parents. And what does she do? she becomes basically a hoe. And then she's lied about all this stuff. We don't need to get into that. But again, a perfect analogy of somebody choosing the darkness as opposed to being born in a dark situation. And so evil wants to take the light out of you, and it wants to take the light of everybody else. True love is always filled with light. True love is always filled with light. And so this is something that you can take and look in your own life, your own relationships, the people around you. Are your relationships filled with light? Now, we're all imperfect, and so it's not like all of us are perfect, loving beings, that's for sure. But one of the things that you can look at is like how much light is given off by the relationships with certain people you have. Could be your parents, could be your siblings, could be your friends, could be coworkers, could be your loved one. Is it strong? Is there a light there? How much love? Because again, what is this relationship between love and light? It's one to reflect on. There is no answer for it, but it's certainly one to reflect on when we look at our own life and we look at how we treat others, because this is really what we're going to be judged about. This is what, again, my priest gave a homily on today in regards to, judgment. Today was Sunday. If you're on the newer calendar, which I am, I'm Antiochian. The homily was about how you're going to be judged on base what your heart is. So the homily, the gospel reading today was about how Christ discussed, what you've done to the least among your brother, you've done to me. And what you've done you've done for me. And so the apostles are asking, he said, you rejected me here, you rejected me here, you did this. And they say, but Lord, when did I do this? And he says, well, when you've done it to the least of your brother, and you've done it to me. And that the light of Christ is in everybody. Everybody's born with the gift of the light of Christ because we're made in the image of God. And so then your light, if you're trying to grow that light of Christ within yourself, that's something that we are going to be judged on no matter who you encounter, Christian, non-Christian, atheist, whatever it is how do you treat people? Because Christ took on humanity and became fully man, fully God, so that he knows what a perfect heart is. He has a perfect human heart in the sort of noetic sense, right? The soul, all this different stuff. But therefore, you're going to be judged on your heart. Paul talks about how the message of Christ, the revelation of Christ, is written on the heart. And so it's not about how much theology you know or how articulate you can be on certain things. It's just it just comes down to how do you treat people? What do you really care about? Like, what is the real condition of your heart? That's what you're going to be judged on. And you can't hide it, because you can't hide how you really feel about something or how you really feel about other people. It's right there on your heart. It's written. God can see it. And that's what you're going to be judged on. And so the face of evil dissolves in the presence of love. Well, I've mentioned that. This is what we're going to get to with the porcelain mask. The will of evil cannot stop the love of parents. This is a point in which the parents, Alicia and Amar, are stuck in a cave, or at least rocks have fallen and sort of consumed them in a small little area in which they can't get out. But Amar, being the father who loves his children, won't stop, can't stop, breaks free. And that's true for all of us, right? We have to strive for the people we love. We have to always move forward. We have to always fight until you can't fight anymore, until you literally die. That's the game we've signed up for. There is no easy way out. It's resistance until you can't resist anymore. And so the will of evil, despite how much evil wants to stop you or fight against you, the will of evil cannot stop love. It cannot stop the love of parents. It cannot stop those who love you and care about you, despite, again, what evil would want to do to you. Now, when you choose evil, that's a different story. No matter how much your parents want to pray for you, no matter how much the people around you love you, if you're choosing darkness and you're in the will of evil is choosing you and then you're choosing it, it can, love can only help so much. But that's why then Christ, you can always repent and you can always come back. And the last point is darkness can't defeat the light unless we choose the darkness. And so don't choose the darkness. Choose the light. Choose love. Choose truth. And you're really going to be all right in the end, no matter what happens. So that's going to we're going to dive into this whole thing here. I got a PDF. Guys, smash that like. Please, we got a few super chats. I want to hit those right now. Just so, again, one of the new things I want to do is hit super chats as we move through. That way, again, you guys feel like you're more participants in the live streams. So I'm not going to just wait for doing all the super chats towards the end. Sometimes I will, but if you have a comment that you want to say directly about, again, today's topic, In Search of Sacha, as we move through the book, as we move through a different topic, throw in a super chat. First one comes in from Amptown1, throws in $5. Shout out to Amptown1. God bless you. Pleasure to see you at Liturgy today. The next one comes from our good Orthodox sister, Eleni Greek Orthodox, throws in $20 Canadian and says, a little something towards your future wedding with your beloved. God bless you too. Such a gorgeous couple. Well, thank you so much, Eleni. God bless you. Thank you. I truly do appreciate that. And God willing, everything will go well for the rest of the year. So looking forward to that. I truly do appreciate your support, and I appreciate all the great work you do in spreading the light of Christ and information on your social media. So shout out to you, Eleni. God bless you. And then the next super chat came from Dr. Vagisil, throws in $1 and says, keep kids close to God's light by showing them God's love in your daily actions and have them work with their hands every so often to keep routine, discipline, and creativity. That is a great point, Dr. Vagisil. As you always do have good ones. Yes, great point. Keep kids close to God's light by showing them God's love in your daily actions and have them work with their hands every so often to keep routine, discipline, and creativity. A few announcements. First one, of course, if you would like to support Church of the Eternal Logos and you like some of the work that I do, a great way to support is by becoming a website member. There's 3 different memberships, and you can do so with that link right there. The cheapest is obviously just a $5 a month membership. Easy. It's a cup of coffee. It goes a long way for me. It gives you access to an entire exclusive video library, of which I'll have multiple new videos up this week. This week's going to be a big one. I'll probably have 3-4 new videos up over for members. So one way you can help me is become a website member. Also, if anybody wants to sign up for a one-on-one session, you want to talk about life, theology, world religions, mysticism, magic, goal setting, fitness, whatever it is, you can have my undivided attention. 30 minutes, an hour, multiple sessions. You can purchase with that link right there. Sign up for a one-on-one session. And then, of course, major shout out again to the sponsor of today's stream, Manuel Guzman Lolo, for again sponsoring today's stream to dive into his original work, In Search of Sacha. If you have a topic that you'd like for me to dive into, please sponsor a stream. I love these sponsored streams. I love doing them. I love diving into them. And so if you have a good topic, you have something you think you would like for me to dive into and do my research on, please sign up and sponsor a stream. I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. I really would. Obviously, nothing too controversial. We're not trying to get the stream taken down. But anything you would like for me to dive into, I would also like to do. Okay, so first thing we're going to do before we go through this book is we're going to watch his trailer. And so I want you guys to see a little bit of what his book looks like. And so here is a trailer that he has over on his YouTube channel. And guys, go follow him on YouTube. His link is in the video description, okay? His link is in the video description, and you can go sub over to his YouTube channel. He's only got a little over 100, and it's great work, man. This is really high quality stuff. He's in our community. Again, buy the book. If you have a son, buy this book. Help out our brother. And so here we're going to start with the trailer of In Search for Sacha. And so check this out.
I am well pleased with these young ones, for they will face challenges, and they will rise, and they will overcome with strength and with grace. Though pains will run deep, a light will shine through, and thank goodness, because the darkness that waits in store is blacker than the deepest hole in the earth. In Search of Sacha.
Okay, so that is his trailer that, again, you can find over at his YouTube channel. So check that out if you guys are interested. Again, get it. If you have some boys, check this thing out and buy it. I did want to say one thing. I looked up the meaning of the name Sacha, and so what I found was it's of Russian and Greek origin, so great ortho connection there. And the meaning of Sacha is man's defender. Man's defender. And so what we talk about, how the premise of this book is the battle between light and darkness, and that Sacha comes into his sort of adulthood through fighting darkness. I thought, I bet Lolo did that on purpose. I'm not sure, but I thought it was interesting that the etymology of Sacha was man's defender. Seems like it works out with the general message there. Now what I want to do is go through, and so you guys can see a little bit of this book. So here is a photo of Lolo and his beautiful family, his wife and 2 sons. And so Manuel Guzman is an illustrator born and raised in New York, where he still lives with his wife and 2 sons. Among other things, his career as an artist has led him to work on film and in print. In Search of Sacha is his first work of literature to be authored and published in storybook form. He began work on In Search of Sacha as a student in 2006, but due to the vagaries of life, the project was delayed and work sporadic for the next 13 years. With a newfound vigor and conviction to complete this passion project, Manuel tried his hand at crowdfunding the storybook project in 2019 and was met with overwhelming and humbling success. With the aid of over 200 backers, he was able to dedicate the needed time and energy to complete such a monumental work. He hopes his book is well received to continue his career as an author and illustrator of many more storybooks. So here we go. And now I'm going to scroll all the way up, and we're going to dive into this story. Okay. So here we go. Okay. So here's the PDF version. In Search of Sacha begins by, again, dedicating it to his wife, Cess, and his sons, Lunam and Sacha. And so I thank God every day for bringing you into my life. So here we go, the cover of the work. And we see the parents, Amar and Alicia, with their young boy, Sacha. Okay, so here we go. This is how it starts. We see sort of two radiant glows of light here. And so the lights are shining across the forest, right? The mountains in the forest here. I'm not going to read the whole book to you. I am going to read certain portions of the book, though. So I'm not going to read the whole book, but we're going to read certain portions. So you get the idea. These are the 2 parents, Amar and Alicia. And so here we see from tree to tree, branch to branch, leaf to leaf, they jump with quiet determination. Here, let me see if I can make this bigger. Can I make this bigger? There we go. There we go. There we go. Okay. Primal parental instincts guide them. Oh, okay. Warning of impending danger. Sacha is not safe. You know that parental instinct you can feel when your kids are in danger? They draw strength from their bond of love as they search for Sacha using every sense. They can hear each animal, large and small, rustling in the bush, feel the vibration of a bird's wing beating the air, taste the moisture of the leaves, and smell the roots of the earth. Okay, so we see them first encounter. What do they encounter? The devil monkeys. And I think it's apropos. The man is weighted down by buckets of apples. Now, again, I don't know. Again, I didn't talk with Lolo about all the symbolism when I did this book because I didn't want to be influenced by what he actually did. I wanted to come to my own opinions and do my own analysis, right? So what I thought is so interesting here is, well, apples are a semiotic fruit used to describe the fall of man, right? And so we see a man weighed down by buckets of apples, by the sins of the world, by the fall itself. And so then we have these devil monkeys harassing him, right? He's weighed down by the labor. He's weighed down by the apples and they're harassing him and scratching at him. But of course, Amar and Alicia are present, and Alicia, when she unsheaths her samurai sword, great wind blows. You can see a sort of metaphor for the Holy Spirit there. And so as soon as she unsheaths the sword, you see the wind blowing, and that the devil monkeys know, okay, we better skedaddle because we're about to get slashed. And so a strong gale bursts forth as she swings the blade, and the devil monkeys are swept away by the winds. So next we see, okay, so Amar and Alicia come to save the man that was being harassed by the devil monkeys. They ask him, hey, we're looking for our son. Have you seen him? And here we see on the right panel, he's remembering, oh yes, while I was picking all these apples, I saw Sacha, and this girl's name's Faye, as we'll find out here in a second. They were walking by, and so I think it's important to hear some of the things that they're saying. So the laborer looks to Alicia and Amar with gratitude in his eyes. He raises his arm to wipe the sweat off his weary face. I did see a boy. He walked hand in hand with a girl. She had the longest blue hair I'd ever seen. I was picking fruit when they passed me. I warned them night would soon fall, and they shouldn't wait for full dark before returning home. The boy smiled at me, and I'll never forget his words. The sun may set, but we have each other, and that's enough to light our way. Those two young ones continued on without a care in the world. They went deeper into the forest that way just before the sun fell and took the light with it. We thank you, says Alicia, before she and Amar raced down the path indicated by the laborers pointing fingers. Okay, so he tells them where to go. So we see then the parents are on their way. And who do they encounter? What I call the Ice Queen, right? So this is the young girl, and I did want to read this whole panel, so there's a little bit more text, but I thought this was really insightful, again, for the archetypal sort of breakdown, because this is a way in which I think all young men, again, we all mature, we all get our heart broken, right? There's all these memes, these gym memes, and one of the popular one, of course, is all the guys who get into weightlifting because they get their heart broken, which isn't uncommon. But anyways, so here they are, Alicia and Amar. They plunge deeper into the dimming forest until they come across a platform. It might be easier for me to just read actually from the book. It's just harder for me to see the glare. So let me read from the book. So they say, they plunge deeper into the dimming forest until they come across a forlorn girl sitting atop a fallen tree in a clearing. Ice radiates from her, Ice Queen, slowly spreading as she brushes her beautiful blue hair with a comb of vibrantly shining gold. Okay, so a little bit of opulence, maybe a little bit of self-centeredness, we could say. Alicia and Amar halt at the edge of the ice. Girl, have you seen... do you have any idea of our son, Sacha, and his whereabouts? Alicia asked. My name is Faye, and no, I don't know of that boy's existence, the pretty girl replies. Father Amar and Mother Alicia have keen senses and vast understandings, but did not need them to realize Faye's deceit. Faye, Sacha may be in Hazard's path, says Father Amar. You can help us find him. Surely you don't want him to come to any harm, right, Faye? Well, she says. Faye raises her chin, her face a mask of conceited indifference. Maybe I've passed him by, but who would know? Your problems don't concern me. But Faye doesn't know Alicia and Amar's ability to see into the hearts of those they speak with. Oh, hearts. Remember theology, hearts, love, light. What are judgments based on? They study her face, her gestures, and her manner of speech. I see, Amar proclaims. You hide behind these falsehoods because you failed to keep the promises you made to Sacha. You lie to cover your shame. Ooh, sound like modern day women? Huh? Does it sound like modern day women? And so, oh, what nonsense, shouts Faye. The ice spreads further as her anger grows, crystallizing the leaves and branches near her, Alicia and Amar's feet. Amar continues to speak. You could not stay true to Sacha. So you turned your friendship into bitterness. Now your attempt to protect yourself from pain is keeping us from bringing him to safety. So you see, her own hard-heartedness then it's a hurdle in the way of the love of the parents and their love for Sacha. Again, perfect analogy for the world itself and darkness in our contemporary world. So then he says, then Faye clenches her fist and shakes her head. What do you know? I'm free and I found my place. Oh, sound like a modern empowered woman, right? Here, asked Amar, sweeping his hand. Here, this is where you found your place? Looking around you, girl, in desolation and in darkness, your heart shall remain until you realize the truth. Faye sneers. And what is that? Alicia's voice is calm but sad, heavy with the weight of certainty that Sacha's love is true and that this scared you, right? Tears spring from the young maiden's eyes, and now she remembers Sacha's heart. The more she weeps, the more she remembers, her tears breaking the chains that had imprisoned her memories. The ice begins to recede as she weeps. Yes, it's true, it is. Sacha was my heart. I have never felt what I did when I was with him. It was so real. But as we walked into this dark place, hand in hand, he wanted to keep me protected. Oh, like traditional masculinity, right? And it bothered me. Oh, okay. So like contemporary feminists who can't deal with a masculine man. I felt he held me too tightly, and I said nothing at first because I did not want to trouble him. But then I let go. He asked me what was the matter, and I told him I was feeling overwhelmed. Then I decided I don't want to see him anymore. He asked me, where will I go if it's not with you? And I told him I just can't worry about him right now, and that he should have not have held me so tightly for so long. Okay, so it's the boy's fault for caring so much. Again, we can see the sort of motifs, right, of contemporary relationships. Her voice cracks and quivers. Let me scroll down now. So here's Faye and Sacha. Her voice cracks and quivers, but she does not stop pouring her heart out to Father Amar and Mother Alicia. He said, my heart is broken, and asked me how love could hurt so deeply. Her anguish off her chest, Faye returns to her irate state, and her expression is once again one of cold indifference. The ice that had melted returns thicker than before, chilling the night air. I told him to leave, and he cried to me, she says, her breath fogging. But it was his fault. He shouldn't have held me so tight. He hurt me with his grip. And anyway, it's too late. Okay, so we move on. So we see, okay, the girl's upset and she blames Sacha for it. Okay, makes sense. So we move on into the story. And we see that the dark forest, it's very dark, but there's one light that Amar and Alicia see as they move into the dark forest, and that is this tree, right, covered in mushrooms. Perfect analogy, a psychedelic analogy there, right? The Lord of the Beast lives in a tree covered in mushrooms. I don't know. I thought so. Again, maybe Lolo, that's not where he was going with it, so I don't know. Anyways, the light is right in front of the doorway to this tree, and who and behold comes out? The Lord of the Beast. Marcor's twisting horns butt against the trunk of the giant tree he calls home. He opens his mouth to let a great honking roar, his nostrils flaring with rage. So we see a sort of Baphomet, although he's not as feminized as Baphomet, but we see a horned figure, right? The Lord of the Beast. Clearly a demonic semiotic presence there. The legendary beast emerges in a rampage, knocking over trees as he swings a huge hooked stick, parrying all attacks while his staff roars like a lion. Amar commands the vines and branches of the trees to bind the raging monster. Even the earth and stones yield to Amar's will, offering themselves up to thwart Markar's fury. And so we see, again, a sort of centaur figure, a perfect sort of Baphomet embodiment. Okay, see, he's bound by the trees and the branches and the ground and the rocks, and so he bows down before, again, the two embodiments of light, Father Amar and Mother Alicia. Okay, so we see they encounter this. So then he says, they realize, oh crap, this Lord of the Beast, he's blind. So they say, who has blinded you? Have you any knowledge of our boy Sacha? Demands Amar. Fear strikes Markor as he pleads to be released, for he now realizes who stands before him. Though he is Lord of Grievous Valley, they are lords of magnificent mountains on either side. I will tell you, but please let me go, for I am compelled to bow in your presence. Amar considers the beast's words. With a swift swing of his roaring staff, the plant life and soil release the grip. Markor falls to his hands and knees, and all creatures silently witnessing the confrontation know that right now Markor, the Lord of the Beasts, bows down to Amar and Alicia. In my slumber, I heard a rapping on my door, Markor says with a booming tremor. I swore to revenge the one who dared wake me. I am old, you see, and my sleep is precious, but I could feel it was one of those light pierces much as yours. Okay, so now you see the animals, again, the Lord of the Beast, right? He was kind of, Sacha was an attraction to the other animals, right? So anyways, moving on to the next page, it says, this upset me greatly, and in my envious rage, I shouted and asked him why he was here. His answer confused me. He told me his burning heart led him here. Okay, so the boy of light is led by his heart. You will die for that flame, I told him. However, the boy was unafraid and spoke softly when he asked me a question. How can love hurt so deeply? You think you know pain, I said. And just as I was about to strike him, did his chest blaze with a light so bright it scorched my eyes. I realized too late he was protected by that flame. I am sorry for my feral actions. I should have welcomed the child into my home and treated him well, but I was consumed by dark passions. Markor lifts his massive arm and points with a clawed finger deeper into the heart of the woods. That is where he went. You must have frightened him so, you monster, cries Alicia. And so here we see Amar give the beast, the Lord of the Beast, his eyes back. And we see in the next phrase, we see Alicia, the mother, she begins to drink from the hexed water, as we see. So she drinks from this stream of water. And what does she do? Crazy woman. She unsheaths her samurai sword and begins to attack her husband. Why? Because he showed mercy to Markor, the Lord of the Beast. So the fact that he showed mercy upset her. Again, highlighting we need to be careful when we see mercy being displayed and compassion. And if that upsets us, maybe that's coming from a place of darkness. So anyways, again, doing as you naturally do. Got to get your woman, put her in place, calm her down. Then Amar realizes, okay, something's going on with this water. It's hecked. So what does he do? He meditates and prays over it. He prays over the water. And as you can see here in the puddle, life begins to grow. It's blessed water, holy water, water that leads to life, life-giving. So then Amar lifts Alicia and lays her unconscious body by the basin. It's easier if I read it here. Okay. He cups the purified water and lets it trickle into her slightly parted lips. Her pale face becomes colorful once again. She awakes and acknowledges her transgressions, apologizing profusely. Amar simply grabs her tight in an embrace that says more than any words. Amar kneels to drink from the purified water himself. A message flickers in his mind, speaking not in words, but in the bright flash of sudden remembrance. When he sees the burning intensity in Alicia's eyes, Amar knows she had the same vision. Ravine, she says. Amar nods, for it is the same name the waters speak to him. They now know the source of the hex lay downstream and the magnitude of Sacha's dangers. Okay, so now they're both on the same page. He's got his woman under control. She's drinking hexed water over here, getting crazy. And now they're on the move. They are on the move to the ravine to get Sacha out of danger. Okay, and so moving along. Eventually, they get to here. And so they stop to survey the landscape, finding the spot where the water cascades into a dark cave. The two feel imprisoned by the protruding stones that close in high above. But no, they must descend into the blackness if they want to see Sacha again. Alicia turns to Amar, and they relay messages of hope and strength in their eyes. Amar lifts his staff with a nod to his wife, and they each place a hand over it. Eyes closed, they chant in unison, Lord, Father, lend us your light so that we may see in this dark place. So we see a Christian analogy, praying, asking for Father, Lord, the Lord to give you light in darkness. Something, again, perfect analogy for all of us as we move through our lives. The blue flame springs from their hands to light the staff, using the staff as a torch now. Father Amar leaps into the black hollow, Mother Alicia following a moment later. As they descend into the claustrophobic space, they see poisonous insects swarming the stone walls. Going deeper, they sense an ominous presence, but feel relief when the space opens into a wider chamber. They land on a ledge and see that the waterfall empties into a large pool. They leap down again, light as feathers, and land on the surface of the deep water as if it were glass. The light of Amar's staff does not penetrate deep enough to discern the true scope of the cavern's depths, but they had no doubt it extends far in all directions. Alicia could not help but notice shadowy movements beneath her feet. Ooh, so again, shout out to Lolo, shout out to Manuel Guzman. Great, it's very well written. So the adjectives, the descriptions in this book are really good. Again, to be great for a child as they move through. So here we see she gasps in surprise as the countenance of disgraced souls stare back, some pounding their fists against the surface as trying to break free. So this is what I mean. We see that the dead souls are underneath the dark water, right? Inside this hidden cave in which there is no light. These are the souls that are in rapture, that are caught into darkness, into Hades, if you will, into hell. You see the motif here. You see how the Christian message is, a lot of theology could be unpacked from this. Again, I don't know. I haven't spoke with Lolo. I didn't want to be too much influenced by his own intentions. I wanted to kind of bring a fresh lens at it. Alicia cries a sorrowful tear which rolls down her cheek to her chin and falls to the lake. So we see the mother of light, mother filled with light, Alicia, mother of Sacha, sees the dark souls that she stands above. And you see who walks on water? Who was that guy? That guy that walked on water. He was kind of famous. Oh yeah, Jesus Christ. So you see they are walking on water. Clearly another biblical motif there. Okay, moving along, we see upon contacting the water, it bursts into a radiant light that purifies a wide circle around them, creating an illumination that makes the water glow. The light disperses the shadowy lost souls, some evaporating into black wisps of smoke. With this brilliant radiance across the water, there was light enough to see the immensity of the subterranean cave, including a small boat in the distance. Let me read from here. Okay, a small boat in the distance. What's going on? As they walk towards the vessel, they see the back of a figure sitting upright in the boat. Alicia gasps, and Amar's heart quickens with hope. Could it be Sacha? They cannot tell from this distance. They walk faster, but dark hands reached from the water and grabbed their ankles. They had already gone beyond the purifying reach of Alicia's tear. Okay, so now we see that the tear caused the purifying reach. So what is it? The heart. The heart again, right? It was the compassion. It was the mercifulness. It was the sorrow that Alicia felt for those lost souls, that her tear gave light into a dark place, right? Tears, it highlights, again, a great motif there, again, for our tears, our emotions, how we care about other people, how that is a light unto itself. And so then we see this shadowy figure that's in the boat, right? Though gripped in place by those cold hands, Amar's flaming staff provides enough light to see more. We see, again, look at the lost souls grabbing the feet and ankles of Alicia and Amar. The sitting figure is no child. It wears a regal dress and a large, intricately designed headdress. It is Lady Ravine, the mistress of death. And so I thought, mistress of death, perfect, great job, Lolo. Mistress of death, not a mother, right? What's the Jezebel as it compared to the Theotokos? Motherhood. Motherhood is a huge importance and a differentiator between a woman who has sex with no children, harlot, prostitute, whore, Jezebel, versus a mother who's a perpetual virgin, purity, chastity, yet gives birth to God. What makes the Theotokos special is her perpetual virginity, her purity, and yet also being a mother to God himself in regards to giving the Logos his humanity, fulfilling the messianic prophecy. Lady Ravine slowly turns to look at them. A white porcelain mask covers her face. So remember that mask, right? It's again the mask of evil, the mask of darkness that we encounter in so many different ways. The mask can be inhabited, as we'll see, by different beings, different entities. It is fashioned to resemble a beautiful woman, her face forever frozen in time. So one of the masks of darkness is our temptation due to beautiful women. You think of Madonna, and again, Madonna's face is not beautiful anymore, again, whether you thought it ever was or not. She looks like Jigsaw from the movie Saw. That's what Madonna looks like. But you see, anyways, darkness, baby foreskin they put on their face, right, to make their skin more youthful, drinking children's blood. And I don't mean this as like, oh my gosh, that's a conspiracy theory, adrenochrome. No, I'm talking about Peter Thiel's Para Ambrosia company. I'm talking about literally drinking blood from children between the ages of 16 and 25 to rejuvenate tissue. All right. So, her face forever frozen in time. Alicia and Amar can now see another passenger laying in the boat as though sleeping with his hands atop his belly, sprawled across the folds of Lady Ravine's dress. Is that Sacha? Oh boy. It's Sacha. You see Sacha right there, his shoes off. You see the dead souls, right, trying to grasp Amar and Alicia and drag them to the depths of hell. The demons, that's what these are. These are lost demons. These are demons. Sacha, Alicia cries, but falls to her knees when she tries to step forward, for the clutching hands do not give. The hands grab her wrist and begin to pull her down the icy water. Amar remains still and touches the flame with his staff to the hands around his ankles. They burn away in moments, dissipating into tendrils of acrid black smoke. Now free, he grabs Alicia's arm before she is pulled too deep as he burns the hands clutching her. Okay, so he's got to protect his wife. Again, Amar, man first, got to protect his wife from the demons trying to grab her. They realize that this mistress of death's got their son. Okay. And remember, again, the storm. Jesus walking on water. They're walking on water. The mistress of death is in a boat. Alicia, let me read from this again. Okay. Alicia does not give up the struggle over even as Amar lifts her to her feet. Sacha! Her voice is so loud it creates a turbulent ripple across the lake's surface. The choppy waters violently rock the boat. One large wave nearly overturns the small vessel, upending Sacha's limp body into the lake. A deep tremor shakes the cave the moment Sacha's body hits the water, and stones begin to fall from above. A tree-length stalactite smashes the boat. Amar holds his breath in the chaos of falling stones, and between crashing waves, the mistress of death is nowhere to be seen. The earth continues to quake. Amar holds Alicia to his side, pulling her away from large chunks of falling rock. The shaking grows so terrible, Amar fears the entire cave will collapse. Something in this cursed environment prevents him from commanding the earth beyond the length of his staff. We must go, he tells Alicia over the rumbling. It is too dangerous. He leads Alicia the way they came, never letting go of her hand as they climb out of the collapsing cave, for he knows she would have jumped back into that cursed place in search of Sacha. Now, again, you see the parallel too, I think, again, I don't know, but Lolo, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Amar clinging, grabbing her hand, not letting go. Remember the girl, the blue-haired girl that broke Sacha's heart? Oh, he was holding on too tight. Now, it wasn't a literal holding on. It was how much he cared about her and how she broke his heart. But again, we see a sort of parallel here with his parents and how his dad is that man and his mother appreciates his dad being that man. We do have a super chat that came in from Maximus Pike, throws in $10 Canadian and says, thanks for another great show, DPH. My wife and I are expecting our 5th child later this year. Well, congratulations, Maximus Pike. God bless you, brother. 5th child this year. Congrats. There is no greater gift than being a husband and father. God bless you and your channel. Well, thank you so much, Maximus Pike. I truly do appreciate you, brother. Thank you very much. Okay, so we see Amar is grabbing Alicia, and he's pulled her out of this collapsing cave, right? Or this underground lake. We see Sacha's body falls into the waters of all the dead souls. The rumbling stops, and the way to the surface is now sealed under tons of rock. Pieces of the boat dance on the lake's still churning waters. The sinking boy emanates a soft glow from his heart. Sacha now wakes to find himself being pulled in all directions by malevolent, grasping ghosts. Ooh. Okay. The sight of these twisted and tormented souls haunts Sacha. Some have their heads reversed, lopsided, caved in, or even upside down. Some snarl and curse, while others have tortured grimaces frozen on their faces. And then what do we see? The demons are trying to get the boy's light to put the mask of darkness on, the mask of evil, right? The mask of evil. The spirits part, making room for one who bears Lady Ravine's porcelain mask up from the depths of the lake. The ghost passes the mask into the waiting hands surrounding Sacha, which thrust it onto his face. Sacha struggles but cannot break free. Before his view is fully obscured, something further away catches his attention, something that is no ghost. Though the water is murky and filled with the spirits of the damned, Sacha is convinced he remembers her. Faye, the girl he loved, right? The sight of Faye clears Sacha's mind and sets his heart ablaze. With his purifying luminescence, the spirits that crowd him withdraw into the darkness. He grabs the mask, now clinging tightly to his face as though alive, and uses all his strength to peel it off. Okay, and so he breaks free from the porcelain mask. Once the mask is shed, he swims to the surface and takes a deep, urgent breath. He looks down and sees Lady Ravine's mask sink into the lake's shadowy depths. The mask lands on a sea snake resting on the lake floor. A second later, a smoky black energy consumes the mistress mask and slithering creature beneath it. Bam. Sacha, okay, let's skip to where the... steadying himself with bent knees and outstretched arms, Sacha finds his balance and stands drenched but collected as he adapts to the water's movement. Sacha's light brightness with the thought of Faye's fate should he fail to save her, but he is distracted by a swishing movement from below. A long shadow glides swiftly through the waters beneath Sacha moments before a monstrous serpent lunges out from under his feet. Sacha jumps away from the sinuous monster's snapping jaws. Its tail whips past Sacha and strikes his chest, sending him flying across the cave. He strikes the wall and falls to a ledge of rock at the lake's edge. Sacha is hurt and shaken, but he keeps his mind focused on Faye. She needs his help. So again, what's driving Sacha? His love for that young girl and knowing he must protect her and go save her. And so Sacha is hurt and shaken, but he keeps his mind focused. Faye, she needs his help. The thought gives him courage, and though it is a struggle, he rises to his feet. The fire of Sacha's heart now rages. He peers into the fire and sees his father and mother. Now he remembers. They had been in this cave. Did I hear mother call my name, he thinks? And his fire burns fiercer. He puts his hands to his chest, and the flame spreads unto them. He looks at his blazing hands in awe, and then to the enormous snake. Let it come, Sacha thinks. I am ready. Okay, so we see the serpent here. He's got the porcelain mask, right? The face of darkness on top of him. That's why the serpent is so large. The serpent makes its way to the ledge, coils unto itself, and raises its head ready to strike. Sacha looks at the creature and sees Lady Ravine's mask affixed to the snake's forehead. Lost in thought, Sacha is nearly hit by the serpent's darting head, but leaps away and launches his first attack with burning fists. And so, kapow! Right in the kisser, right in the eyeball. His fury of punches pummels the serpent before it can pull back its head. Screeching, the beast attacks with its mouth open and fangs dripping with poison. But this time Sacha is ready. He moves aside and the snake strikes the ledge, sending up a spray of broken rock. Gritting his teeth, Sacha aims his fist at the monster's eye. His blow is so fierce the serpent's head crashes into the ground. Its loud hisses cannot obscure the sizzling of the burning flesh. As the monster slithers away to slip into the water, Sacha grabs its thrashing tail and clutches tightly. He is pulled into the water after the beast and begins to climb his way scale by scale up the monster's spine. And then, so we see Sacha grabbing the serpent, climbing it. The PDF is missing a... oh, no, I skipped over. Okay, sorry. Whoopsie. Okay, so we see Alicia and Amar are then stuck because all the rocks fell, right? So they're separated from all this action going on with Sacha. Sacha's getting ready to be dragged into the waters, fighting the serpent. And so it says... unbeknownst to Sacha, his parents are still near. Back in the valley, Amar helps his despondent wife sit on a nearby rock. Stay here, my love, Amar says. I'll return with our son. How, Alicia says between sobs. Will you move these stones with your bare hands? Amar smiles. You doubt me? He swings his roaring staff in a complex pattern, and soon the rocks begin to move. The sight of her husband working to open the cave calms Alicia. She closes her eyes and focuses on meditation and prayer. She knows that this battle is spiritual as much as it is physical. this poltergeist that has bewitched her, Sacha, will require this to exercise. Above, the moon moves to a high position. The star-sprayed sky with a narrow rocky defile is finally illuminated, bathed in silver light. As Amar moves the boulders, he sees hundreds of dark shadows rise from the ground and evaporates in the air. He smiles again, knowing that the prayers of his beloved are liberating these souls and helping him. He is grateful for such an ardent and faithful woman as his wife. The environment slowly purifies after long years of corruption. Amar's staff roars as giant boulders move through the air. He digs through the heavy rubble and finds only more, but he will not stop carving through the earth until he makes his way back to his boy. Okay. And so here we see Sacha's being dragged to the bottom of the lake. And so down in the underground lake, Sacha persistently climbs up the swimming snake's back as thoughts of the day's events race through his mind. The labor with the kind spirit picking apples, Faye's rejection, the fearsome Marcor, and all the things he learned from the Lord of the Beasts, subjects as they walk through the woods. The serpent thrashes but cannot shake off the boy. Holding his breath, Sacha continued towards the snake's head and thinks of Faye. His heart sheds enough light now to see clearly, but the vision of her does not return. Okay. The monster twists and attempts to bite Sacha, but Sacha is ready. He rolls away so the snake bites itself. As the great serpent fangs pierce its own scaly skin, Sacha scorches its other eye with a strong jab of his fire that even the waters cannot quench. The snake shudders violently and swims towards the surface with Sacha still clinging to its back. As he continued towards the monster's head, he can feel his parents' presence and his heart and realizes he holds a part of their fighting spirit within him. His muscles burning, Sacha reaches the serpent's head and rains fiery blows against the mask. The monster rises high above the water and waves its head. He cannot rid itself of the boy and his unceasing assault. Finally, the porcelain mask cracks under Sacha's fists. It splinters and falls from the beast. With a hiss, the snake begins to shrink to its normal size and shake. Size and snake and boy fall into the and snake and boy fall into the lake. Okay, so we see smashes the mask. We see the snake goes back to its original size. The mask falls into the water. The cavern is quiet, save for water slapping against the walls. There is a moment where darkness consumes the space again before Sacha rises above the depths to stand upon the water with Lady Revine's mask clutched in his hand. Sacha holds the mask at arm's length and gazes at it in wonderment. As he walks to the lake's rocky shore, his thoughts return to those he has encountered, including those souls lost in these waters. He has learned many things this day, most of all to find strength in the love of others. Okay. As he walks, Sacha notices the cave's changing atmosphere. It is nearly imperceptible at first, but grows stronger as he focuses and regains his senses. It has become lighter and more hopeful and makes Sacha think of his parents. Father, mother, thank you, for you have sparked my heart afire. My eyes are now open, and I must fill the void with my light. Here we go. He pulls the mask close to his face and places a tender kiss on his porcelain lips. 1,000 tiny cracks spread across the mask of evil, the face of darkness, right? And the mask soon it crumbles and falls through his fingers like dust. The last vestige of Lady Revine's sinister presence lifts, and the chamber and the earth is redeemed. And though the cave has collapsed, sealing Sacha underground, a cool, gentle breeze crosses his face, whispering to him he is safe. Slowly, Sacha falls to his knees and lays on his back, and he finds the ground so very comfortable. And what do we see? His parents arrive. So Alicia and Amar finally clear the opening and enter the cave once again. The air and water are now pristine. Nothing blocks their energies, and they are able to light the cavern. They cast about and see pieces of the broken boat bobbing atop the lake. Finally, deeper into the cave, they see a familiar light and its source, Sacha. Sacha lies on the rocky ground, sleeping peacefully, but there is something different about him. He now bears the resemblance of a man, and though he has matured into an adult, his mother and father have no doubt it is their son. They gather around him, and at Alicia's motherly touch on his forehead, Sacha's eyes flicker open. Sacha looks at his mother with a faraway gaze. I dreamt an amazing dream. I dreamt I redeemed all the land and the souls that live and dwell here. Your dream has become reality, my son, says Amar. He kneels beside Sacha and helps his son to his feet. The three embrace and clutch each other with tender passion, crying joyful tears, the combined light of their hearts shining so brightly they are as radiant as the sun. The end, right? And then Lolo says, don't be afraid, only believe. Mark 5:36. So here's some of the backers, I think, that Lolo had in mind. And then this was again the picture of him and his family, which I believe he said he's got two more. So anyways, like I said, this is a great children's book. Again, major shout out to Manuel Guzman, Lolo. Beautiful family, my friend. Beautiful story, beautiful artwork. You did a great job. And again, as I said, I do recommend this book for everybody. I'll kind of do a recap here. Like I said, I think some of the main important themes for this book is parenthood, protecting your children, showing them the way and the light, how love between parents is an icon for children, and that the parental light and love allows a child to navigate the darkness, right? What does Sacha realize when he's in the depth of the cave and fighting the serpent? He realized that the light within himself to fight the serpent comes from his parents. It came from his parents. The masculine maturity, right? I believe in one day, right, we see Sacha move from a boy to the resemblance of a man. And it went, and again, some of the takeaways that I had: leaving parents, going on your own journey, falling in love and having his heart broken by a girl, experiencing the darkness of the world, fighting against the different faces of evil, and letting your light shine to defeat the enemy, and then fighting to save, protect, and unite with those you love. Of course, it was for Faye, and it was for his parents. So it was for the girl that he loved, and it was for the love of his parents, his family, right? Then we had the faces of darkness, which I talked about, the devil monkeys, which began the book. The self-absorbed female, right? With beautiful blue hair and a golden brush. Doesn't care about others' problems. Is an ice queen. Rejects true love. Even though she realizes it was true love, she still blames him. Won't take responsibility. The Lord of Beast. Lives in the mushroom tree. Ugly, horned, hairy beast centaur. The beast is blind. Evil is blind. These people who participate in darkness are blind. And they must submit to the light. Alicia turning on Amar, as we saw. Drinking the hexed water. The faces and souls under the dark water. And then the mistress of death. And of course the serpent. And that mistress of death having an unchanging porcelain face. Again, I think emblematic of the sort of ways in which darkness becomes personified. right? It emerges in different ways. The serpent attacks us in different ways. It may be the one you love. It may be the person who hates you. It may be, a demonic spirit in the wilderness. Who knows? But it has a sort of personified presence, the unchanging porcelain mask. And of course, then light versus darkness. It's a perfect ortho analogy for God's energies in Christ. It's those beings in darkness can't stand the light. Evil wants to take the light out of us. True love is always filled with light. The face of evil dissolves in the presence of love. Remember the porcelain mask when Sacha kisses it? The will of evil can't stop the love of parents, and darkness can't defeat the light unless we choose the darkness. And so that's going to sum up today's sponsored stream. Again, a major shout out to Manuel Guzman. God bless you and your family, brother. God bless you, Lolo. I do greatly appreciate you sponsoring tonight's stream. Guys, go buy you the book. Again, shout out to Lolo. His link is here in the video description. Go follow his YouTube channel. Here's his YouTube link. Go give him a follow on YouTube and buy his book. If you have a young son, if you have girls, this would work too. But if you have a young son, buy this. If you have a daughter, buy it too. It's a good way for her to know what type of boy she should choose. She needs to choose a Sacha. She needs to choose a boy filled with light due to the values and teachings of his parents. A boy that then fights against the darkness and tries to radiate and spread his light. That is a good story. Check that out. And I want to thank everybody again for being here. Please smash that like, everybody. Special shout out to all these super chatters. Special shout out to Amptown 1. A special shout out to Eleni, Greek Orthodox. Thank you so much, sister. Thank you, Amptown 1. Appreciate your friendship, sister, and seeing you on Sundays. Special shout out to Dr. Vagisil, throws in $1. And then next one comes from Maximus Pike. Shout out to you, brother. Thank you so much for the 10 Canadian. Again, Maximus Pike said, thanks for a great show, DPH. My wife and I are expecting our 5th child later this year. There is no greater gift than being a husband and father. God bless you and your channel. Well, thank you so much, Maximus Pike. Dr. Vagisil said, keep kids close to God's light by showing them God's love in your daily actions, and have them work with their hands every so often to keep routine, discipline, and creativity. Again, our sister Eleni, Greek Orthodox, said, a little something towards your future wedding with your beloved. God bless you two, such a gorgeous couple. Thank you so much, Eleni. Truly do appreciate it. And it looks like that is, there is, that is all the super chats. So want to thank everybody. I will be back with another stream on patriotism. What is patriotism? It's going to be an open panel. So I'm going to allow anybody and everybody to hop on. I'm going to probably chat for about 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes, lay out what I believe patriotism is and why it's important, no matter what country you come from. And then we'll have people on. I've seen some of the Orthodox talk about how they're going to move to different countries, or they're going to move to Russia. To me, this is a really weak sense of patriotism, and it's not patriotism for a global homo. It's patriotism for your fathers, the patriarchy. That's where patriot comes from. It has to do with the land of your fathers. Anyways, we're going to be diving into patriotism either tomorrow or Tuesday, and we're going to open that up to panels. And so I'm sure we're going to get a diverse set of opinions. It should be a good time. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it. Please smash that like, and I will see you all either tomorrow or Tuesday. And as always, until then,